4 reasons why your car's oil pan is still leaking oil despite the oil pan gasket being changed. Number 1, a physical gasket was used, such as a felpro oil pan gasket, instead of using a gasket maker, such as Permatex Black. In the case of Mercedes, to the best of my knowledge, the upper and lower oil pan are secured from the factory with a type of gasket maker. When working on a Mercedes, on 2 occasions, I used a physical gasket, more specifically, a felpro oil pan gasket. On both occasions, it failed. It wasn't until I used a gasket maker, more specifically, Permatex Black, that it solved the problem. Number 2, cure time process. On the directions of Permatex Black, it says to remove the lower oil pan, clean it thoroughly, apply a 1/4 inch bead of product all around the rectangle, reinstall it, secure the mounting bolts finger tight all around until a little bit of product oozes out between the upper and lower oil pan. Wait 1 hour and secure the mounting bolts all around it to factory specs. After which, the oil pan still leaked. In retrospect, this is the reason why. After I reinstalled the lower oil pan, tightened the bolts finger tight all around, what it did was it compressed the product this much. I waited an hour. At that point, it was still in liquid form and hadn't cured yet. So because it was in semi-liquid form, per the directions, and when I tightened it down to factory specs, in my case around 10 foot-pounds, it squeezed the semi-liquid form product too much, and I still leaked oil. So moving forward, what I did was this. I secured the lower oil pan, tightened the bolts finger tight all around, compressed it a little bit. I came back the next day, at which point it was almost fully cured in its rubberized state. And then I tightened the mounting bolts to 10 foot-pounds, which then compressed it, but I got a much more stronger rubberized seal. I know I'm going against the Permatex Black directions. It's always good to follow directions, but this is just my experience in the field. Do with this info what you will. Number 3, did not paint the accessory holes. So many times, when installing the lower oil pan, from the underside, there are many holes. This is an accessory hole. This is a mounting hole. This is an accessory hole. And sometimes you get confused. So my advice, when you remove the lower oil pan, you're going to see holes that go through the entire oil pan, and you're going to see holes on the underside that do not, and they stop. Those are accessory holes. The ones that do not go through the entire oil pan. What those are for, you see this metal conduit right here? And there's like a little bracket. And you secure it to these accessory holes, so this conduit doesn't move while you're driving. So because people do not paint the accessory holes, which I did, they will reinstall the lower oil pan, and they will secure one mounting bolt, and they will think that is a mounting bolt hole. And they will secure a bolt there, and they will secure another bolt into another accessory hole, effectively not mounting the lower oil pan correctly, and this will cause a leak. So if you want things to go smoothly, do yourself a favor. Take a paintbrush and paint the accessory holes when the oil pan is off the car. That way, things will go very smoothly upon reinstallation. Number 4, lastly, let's say you changed the oil pan gasket and it's still leaking. Always trace the leak from the lowest part all the way to the highest part, because the highest point of the oil leak is the source. In many cases, it is the oil level sensor. The technical name is oil level sender. In the case of a Mercedes, to get to the oil level sensor, you have to remove the lower oil pan, and then you can access the oil level sensor. And it pokes through the oil pan, and there's actually a little O-ring, little rubber O-ring that fails sometimes. Most Mercedes oil level senders fail at around 150 to 200,000 miles. And if you went through all the trouble to remove the sway bar, the lower oil pan, and your oil level sensor O-ring has failed, you might as well just replace the whole unit. Okay, well, this is the end of the video. These are 4 reasons why your car's oil pan may still be leaking oil despite the oil pan gasket being changed. I hope everybody learned something. Until next time, take care, everyone.